10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, once again to the NRL Dream Team podcast. We're preparing for round 6 after round 5 has been done and dusted. The scores are on the board and the winners are grinning, the losers are weeping. And I'm Jay Moneyball Hellaby. I'm here with my co-host Nathan Banksy Banks. Mate, welcome back. It's good to have you here once again.
Yeah, thank you very much, Jay. Yeah, last week was quite an eventful week in Dream Team. It saw myself rise up in rankings to 442nd in my overall competition as a lead into my very crucial head-to-head match against Lone Scout, which is my old league's grand final rematch from last year, which he took in controversial situation after we drew in the final and he won on points differential, even though I bet him head-to-head, even though I scored more points than him over the 26 rounds, even though I scored more points than him over the 15 rounds, he still took the win. I'm getting my payback this week. I'm coming for you, Lone Scout. I'm going to bet you Banksy's Bombers is going to win.
Mate, I'm sensing that there's been a lot of money spent on therapy for you over the last 12 months in the off-season.
It hasn't worked.
Yeah, I can tell. I can tell. Alrighty, mate. So, look, I'll let you sit there in the corner and we'll do a quick recap. A little bit of a change to the format, ladies and gents, for this week, just so that we can keep the time down and not take up so much of your very valuable time. We're going to cover casualty, ward, and judiciary reports. Team lists obviously are on NRL.com, so you can check them out, although obviously this week taken with a pinch of salt. Mick Potter, of course, being the new Des Hasler, just pasting his team list and then changing it at will 20 minutes before the game. So it's more important than ever to be watching those team lists in that half hour before the game starts to make sure that you're not running with a nuffy or a guy who's going to be an NPR or late injury or something like that. But in some good news for the Broncos, Sam Thaiday is back after his 1 week suspension for touching a referee. Look, I think the lesson or moral of the story here is regardless whether you're on the footy field or you're heading out into the clubs and pubs this weekend, doesn't matter how good looking the bloke is. If he's wearing pink, don't touch him. He'll take you out of action for a week. And if you're out in the pubs and clubs, you're going to need the antibiotics, I'm telling you right now. Moving right along, Tigers had a few judiciary issues. Bodine Thompson's taken the early guilty plea. He's out for a week. Adam Blair has successfully fought his charge for twisting the leg in the tackle of Gareth Widdop, and he has been cleared, I guess you'd say, or found not guilty, however you want to word it. So he's right to play. Thompson will sit out for that 1 week. Expect Matt Bell to come into the number 11 jersey for Bodine Thompson, and I think we'll see one of the rookies come in to the starting 17. You had one of the blokes' names. What was it, Nate?
I believe it was something like City Licky Arfaliki.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure I butchered that last name.
Look, Nate, mate, you know you and I, we've got a fairly good bond here, but if we're going to go that far, you've got to buy me dinner first. Mate, I am not cheap.
Okay.
Hey, mate, I'll go just chicken nugget Happy Meal, mate, and I'm sold. It's all good, bud. I'm low maintenance. Alrighty, moving along.
Yeah.
Couple of little shocks today down at Melbourne Storm. Billy Slater is getting around in a moon boot. It's not a tribute to Michael Jackson's moonwalk. He has got a bit of a niggle from the West Tigers game on Monday night. They're going to see how he pulls up. Look, at this rate, they're not really expecting him to play. You know, if you see people walking around in a moon boot, generally they're at least sitting sometime on the sidelines, whether it's a week or a month. Nobody really knows. Sometimes it's even worse, and it can be 6 months. Speaking of nobody really knows, Benji Marshall for the Tigers, he's out, should be out this week with a condition known as turf toe. Now, that occurs basically when the calf muscle overstretches and places extreme pressure on one of the ligaments in the big toe. Now, knowing Benji Marshall, he could still play, but they're saying he's out for a month. So, again, just watch the team lists and curse Mick Potter's name if you know, you are a dedicated Dream Team coach with and Tigers on the side. I know I will be. Titans. Now, moving on to them, look, they got through the first 4 rounds with the same team. They really had the golden run of the gauntlet, and in round 5, it all fell like a house of cards. We have Luke O'Dwyer into the starting side for Ben Ridge, who has a pectoral injury. He's expected to be out for at least 1 to 2 weeks. With the international round next week, it could be Ridgie's back in round 7 because he effectively gets 2 weeks in real time off. Aidan Caesar. Look, he was telling us in the Legion after the game on Friday night that he'd be right to play against the Eels. However, the Titans physiotherapist has come out in a video through the week in the casualty ward for the Titans, and he said, look, Aidan, he injured it while kicking, in kicking practice. It was a twinge. It's a hamstring. As a result, look, they're really not going to take any risks with it, so it could be round 7 before we see him. Again, watch the team list there. I know that one really doesn't help you because the Titans are the last to play on Monday, so you may not have too many options to make a late change. Albert Kelly, his medial ligament strain is nowhere near as bad as first thought, which is very, very good news. He's in rehab training all week and plenty of physiotherapy, light contact, no contact work, but, just light training duties. He will be given up until Sunday morning to pass a fitness test. They'll make a decision on whether or not he's going to play at that time. Now, Jordan Rankin is training in the number 7 jersey to jump in at last minute if Albert Kelly does pull out, even though he's Kelly's name. Bo Henry steps into Aidan Caesar's jersey to play at 5'8". Again, just watch those team lists, please, because it could very well be a case of Aidan Caesar and Albert Kelly play or neither of them play. I'm personally going to be playing Tom Humble over Albert Kelly. I'm not willing to take the risk on having an NPR. Thankfully, I don't have Wes Nagata to worry about, but Val Tautai with his 7 just hasn't been good enough for me, so I'll take Humble. Dave Taylor's been stood down at the Titans. As I said, look, it was a house of cards this week. Dave Taylor stood down at the Titans for disciplinary reasons. A lot of rumours going around about whether it's alcohol-related, whether it's discipline or whatever it is. The main sort of themes of the rumours, I've seen photos of going around of him in the Broncos dressing room after the game, and he was drinking with the Bronx there. Look, that happens just about every single game. The players mix together. They all have drinks together and a beer together after the game and that sort of thing. So I don't think there's anything serious there that's being, there's probably a bit of mongering going on to blow that one out of proportion. There were photos on Instagram the next day of Dave Taylor, his daughter's birthday, or over the weekend, I should say, at his daughter's birthday with a beer in hand. Again, all very, very normal. I've seen plenty of pics of the Titans boys like this, so I don't think Cardi's blowing up about that. However, there is a rumour going around that he was late to a recovery session, and he may have not been in a fit state to attend that recovery session. So that could be it. Look, I'm sure it'll all come out in the wash. And as I stress, absolutely 100% all rumour and just Chinese whispers going on there. But Dave Taylor out for 2 weeks. That brings Mark Minicello into the 17. Matty Schramer is also out. We don't know how long for. His shoulders are a bit smashed up. Could be, he's back in round 7. Could be a little bit longer than that. But the Titans don't lose anything by having Beau Falloon step in. Remember, Beau Falloon was 2010 Hooker of the Year in Toyota Cup, and he's certainly got plenty of skills there, and scores. Titans score a lot of points with Beau Falloon on the field, and he tackles like a second rower. So no big loss there for the Titans, but could be a sneaky little pickup for Dream Team coaches looking for that short-term hooking option, especially if you're looking to get off Scott Murr, who has fleas, as my mate Banksy would say. And finally, the key point to look for, and one of the matches around, I reckon this will be the second match around. Storm versus Bunnies will be match of the round. But the Roosters versus the Bulldogs, the return of the prodigal son, Sonny Bill Williams, to play against the Bulldogs. And Banksy, what do you make of this one?
Yeah, well, Sonny Bill is returning home, back to the Dogs, back to where he made his name, back to where he became Mr. Money Bill, back where he walked down in 2007 to go play for Toulouse in France and play some gay sport called rugby. But he's back playing league. He's back in good form. He wants to impress his old fans and say, yeah, I'm not an idiot. I can still play this game. So I'm expecting a big game, and I'm expecting 60, 70 points from him alone.
Yeah, look, I'm definitely with you. I think he's going to come out with a front fourth. I think the Bulldogs fans are incredibly, what's the word, a bit of repetitive, actually, it's escaping me at the moment. I've had the kids for a couple of days now, and my IQ always drops when they're around simply because, well, they're smarter than me, so I just feel even stupider. But the Bulldogs fans, look, they're definitely going to be giving Sonny Bill Williams a welcome, and he feeds off that. You know, he really does feed off that hostile atmosphere. So my tip is Sonny Bill Williams for a very, very big game, potentially the biggest DT scoring game of his season, so long as he doesn't get stabbed by a Bulldogs fan walking into the stadium. That's the big key one. And Doggies fans, before you go off at me, it's the Dogs fans who are the reason you have to have metal detectors on your way into the stadium these days. Sorry, guys, but it's on you. All right, moving along. So with Bulldogs leads us straight to bye rounds because obviously the Bulldogs are one of the sides that have some pretty good byes. And Banksy, I got to be honest with you, man. Every year I start out with this plan and the strategy. I'm going to be overall. I'm going to focus on the overall comp and everything like that. And every year I try and wrap my head around buys and planning for the buys and the trades and all that. And even this year they've made it even easier by giving us extra trades for it. You know, Cam Stats Williams helps me out with these spreadsheets. I make my own and all the rest of it, mate. And I cannot make heads or tails of how to plan and strategize around these buy rounds. You're telling me you've got some sort of solution or maybe even just an explanation that a dumbass like me will be able to understand.
I don't have a solution. The only person that has a solution is yourself.
What's the good of you? Seriously, why do I even have you on this show? If you don't have a solution to every single one of my problems, I mean, you were able to recommend that rash cream for that itch I had, mate. Why can't you fix this?
No, I've recommended that cream for that rash. I recommend things. I don't have a solution for it.
All right, mate, let's talk about buys and we'll get off my medical conditions.
All right. You alluded to it before.
Mate, your mum says hi, by the way. Sorry, the discussion about the cream reminded me.
All right. Okay, you alluded to the Bulldogs having one of the best buys. In my opinion, they do have the best buys. They do not play. They play every single one of the big buys, i.e. round 12, round 15, round 18, where 8 teams have the buy and Origin players are out. They are the best team in terms of that, so I've ranked them number 1. Now I'm using a 6-point ranking system with 1 asterisk on there because they're sort of the same but the reverse. So I'll move on. The second, what I've ranked number 2, and this is all in relation to buying players into your team now. Do they have good early buys coming into it? Yeah. So then at rank number 2, I have the Bulldogs and the Cowboys who both play up until round 14, have the second big buy round, and then have their final buy in round 19, which is your small buy round 3, which is the medium small buy round with 14 out.
So this was Cowboys and who?
Broncos.
Cowboys and Broncos. So 2 Queensland teams, and they're ranked 2 on this 6-step ranking system because they play straight through to round 15 without a buy. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. And they only play 1 big buy round too. So they play 2 big buy rounds. Right.
Okay. So. And that's sort of key because I know the Bulldogs, look, they've got some good little cashies in there. They've got some moderate scorers. They don't really have any of the big gun scorers that we're seeing in other sides at the moment. You know, and you're going to want a couple of them. Now, the Broncos and the Cowboys, they've got a couple of those big gun scorers. You've got Parker. That brings Parker, Thaiday, Thurston, you know, Matty Bowen, who, yeah, look, he's out of form before everyone shoots me, and he's dropping, his price is dropping like a stone, but you know he's going to have to come good very soon.
What you've just done is you've run off 3 of the 4 big scorers from Bulldogs, Broncos, and Cowboys that play Origin. Thurston's going to play Origin, Gillette's going to play Origin, Thai's probably going to play Origin, Bowen's probably not.
You see, this is why it does my head in.
Just named.
Yeah, this is why it does my head in, Banksy, because I sit there and I go, oh, beaut, that means I can have Parker and I'll grab Thaiday and, Benny Hannett might be an option and Matt Gillette and, Andrew McCulley. And again, I've mentioned 5 players and four of them are going to be playing Origin. So I'm sitting there thinking, you beauty, I've sorted myself out. Yeah, I've stacked with Broncos and Cowboys and whatnot, but I've effectively just picked an Origin side who's not going to score me any more points than if I was running with, you know, MPRs.
In fact, picking Origin players from the Bulldogs, from the Broncos, from the Cowboys, and from the 3rd tier, you're going to struggle because they're going to be missing out on 4 rounds, and Bulldogs' case 5 rounds of scoring instead of gaining you 2 over the big buys.
Yeah, unless they back up, and I mean look, they have backed up a bit in the past, but particularly last year, and with all the sort of talk from the Rugby League Player Association about overplaying players and the workload and all that sort of stuff, and what their bodies can and can't handle. There's definitely a trend towards resting players rather than having them back up from Origin. That's
definitely something that the Broncos have done the last 2 years, and that's why I'm going to recommend 2 players from the Broncos at the moment, and that's Andrew McCulloch, because he's the good hooker, the only probably good hook option with good buys that won't play Origin, and Alex Glenn.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Sorry about that.
That's right.
Yeah, Andrew McCulloch is your hooker. Yeah, well, probably not actually.
No, it's Alex, to cut errors out.
It's only a cough. Alex Glenn, he could be the guy he's the guy that's going to hold that Broncos team together over that Origin period with guys like Friday, Gillette probably. You're going to see Parker probably all drop out, Hannett drop out by Origin. He's going to be that guy. He's the captain when Thai's not there.
Yeah.
And he's been for the last few years. He could be that cheeky buy over that Origin period.
I think you're definitely onto something there.
You going?
I was saying I think you're definitely onto something there, and you know he's safe as far as Origin's concerned because he's a Kiwi. And that's, maybe, I don't know what your thoughts on this are, but I think it's one of the few things I may have gotten right headed into buy rounds and buy round planning is I'm looking at the blokes who are Poms and Kiwis or signed on to play for Tonga or Samoa or something like that, because as soon as they've made their international allegiance outside of Australia, they're not eligible for Origin. So it does kind of mean that you've got a little bit more security in knowing that your buy rounds are going to be as you plan them to be if you're outsourcing overseas. Sounds like I'm trying to dial out to an Indian call center, doesn't it?
It does very much.
Welcome to Bangladesh. We have your DT points on order here, sir. Would you please give me your correct card number?
Sure, it's a 339.
Yeah, Banksy, we're not cutting anything out, mate. You may not want to do that. I know Butters will probably run off with it. That bloke needs a holiday, mate. So, yeah, I wouldn't be giving credit card details out.
All right, I'll keep that one quiet then.
Yeah, mate, yeah. Unless it's your mum's credit card and she's loaded. In that case, mate, she's been holding out on me, so pass them my way. I'll take a holiday and shopping spree.
No, we're not loaded.
No, mate. Jeez, I'm lucking out everywhere. First, you're taking me out to dinner to sicky licky me or whatever, and all I'm getting is a 3-piece Happy Meal chicken nuggets or whatever. And your mum's not loaded, and it's cost me money to go and buy cream from the chemist.
I think we better get back to Dreamteam.
We're very fast approaching the R-rated abyss here. All right, so back to Dreamteam buy rounds. This is probably why I disastrously plan for my buy rounds every year, because I get 5 minutes into planning for buy rounds, and I go, ooh, shiny object. And just get distracted like a kid, with ADHD sipping a frozen Coke and injecting pure sugar into his veins.
Yeah. You have to sit down and plan them. And this is what Cameron Williams, I believe, posted on Mentors on Wednesday, which is today for us. He's posted exactly what I've got in front of me. And that's basically writing up all the teams for all the rounds and when they had the buys, and basically saying how long do they play for, when they finish, and how they're set in terms of the big buys.
On that note, one of his tools that he released just before that, it's called NRL Dream Team Round 6, and it's an Excel spreadsheet, and it'll be amongst the files in that and Mentors. You've got to get your hands on it because it allows you to enter in every person from your team, and then it shows them the buy draw right next to it. Along with it, it's got everything in this freaking spreadsheet. It's got, what their chances of scoring above a certain radar, and I mean, seriously, this guy should be the next genuine Moneyball. I know they call him Stats, but I reckon he could write the book on Moneyball NRL selection. In fact, if they bring in the Perth, what's the Perth big call? I know they got Brisbane Bombers. Anyway, let's say they bring back the North Sydney Bears. No, that was Western Reds was ages back. But anyway, let's say they bring back North Sydney Bears. They need to hire Cam Stats Williams to sit there and Moneyball their side and just pick it up based on pure stats and do, basically be the little fat kid to the Brad Pitt like it was in the movie. Not saying that Cam Williams is fat or anything, but I just that's the role he'd play.
He's Brad Pitt. He's Brad Pitt.
Mate, I haven't seen a picture.
He's better than Middleton.
Mate, I got to say, I haven't seen a picture of the bloke, but I'm willing to bet if he was taking me out for dinner, I'd get more than 3 fucking chicken nuggets.
You'll probably get 3.57921 because that was the statistical average from all the players over the nine rounds that you went out.
Hey, look, it's still more than 3. He's at least, if he's going to that level of detail, he's putting effort into me, Banksy. He's putting in effort, mate. It's not just a pre-packed fast food meal. He's gone to the trouble to put in some effort into me. He's investing in me. Okay, I feel like I should be wearing a pink shirt. Let's get back to the buy round planning.
Let's go back. Just a quick recap. The Bulldogs, best buys, play all big buy rounds. Broncos, Cowboys, the next 2 best ones, play 2 of the big buys and finish their buys late. I'm going to the third tier now, which is 2 categories. You have
just quickly before you go on to that third category, with North Queensland Broncos, when you say they finish their buys late, does that make them bad for round 18, or is it round 19 that they then have their buys?
Round 19 is their last buy, which is the last small buy, which is after Origin 3.
Okay, so they finish their buys late, but if you're only bringing in North Queensland and Broncos players specifically to get you through that buy period, then you'll be trading them out in time for their buy round anyway. So it's a wise use of trades if you've obviously planned your trades properly.
Yeah, that is correct.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
And that's something I said. Like round tier 3, 2 categories: one going in, one coming out.
Okay.
The ones going in, which are good, Titans and the Bunnies. They are good coming in because they play the first 2 big buy rounds and they have their small buy in round 13, both of them, which makes them kind of bad. And they're out by round 18. That's when they had their last buy.
Right.
And the teams going out are the Storm and the Eels. They had their big buy around round 12.
Yep.
And then they keep playing the other 2 big buys, with the Eels having their small buy round 16 and the Storm having theirs round 19.
Ah, okay. So if you were to, say, bring a couple of, let's say you brought in a couple of North Queenslanders, a couple of Broncos, a couple of Titans, a couple of Rabbitohs, just to get you through that early buy period, and then sort of round 15, or are we talking round 16, you're changing those Gold Coast and Rabbitohs players into Parramatta and Melbourne players. That's kind of an ideal sort of swap or use of your trades over the buys. Would that be a fair statement?
That is a fair statement, and there's another 3 teams coming very good available in round 16, but they're ranked 5 in this tier system in early entry, so to speak.
Yeah.
But I'll name them right now. You've got Manly, the Sharks, and Panthers, who finished both their buys in round 15. They become very viable options after round 16. Okay,
so round 16 onwards so who was it again? It was Manly, the Sharks, and
Panthers.
And the Panthers. Plus, then we look at Melbourne and Para from round 16 onwards as well.
You can look at Storm from round 13 onwards.
So Storm from round 13, realistically. Para...
Eels from 13 to a degree, but Eels finished their buys in round 16.
So Eels finished their buys in round 16. And from round 16 onwards, Sharks, Manly, and Penrith become viable options. So, okay, that gives you some or gives me a little bit more of an idea of how I'm moving and what I should be looking at doing. And particularly with the 4 extra trades, one would think that coming in and going out of those periods, you should be able to maximize the benefit of those trades as well with that kind of knowledge.
Yeah, you can. That's definitely what I'm looking to be doing over that period.
Okay. So who are our tier 6? Who are our worst teams for buys and why?
I'll jump back to tier 4 because I jumped to tier 5.
Yep.
Tier 4, I ranked better than tier 5 on the pure reason alone that they are good going in. And those teams are the Knights, the Dragons, the Warriors. They play up to round 14, and then they have a bye in round 15, and they all have buys in round 18. So they have 2 big buys once they reach there. So there's more teams you can jump on early in the buys before jumping off to, say, Storm or Eels players, or to Titans or Souths players.
Yeah, jumping off the Titans and Souths players, but on the way out, but jumping onto your Sharks or your Manly or Penrith players after round 16.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Okay. So that'd leave what? We'd have St George in tier 6 and Warriors in tier 6 and Tigers in tier
No,
6.
Warriors tier 4.
Oh, Warriors are tier 4.
You,
Okay, my bad.
tier 6 is the Raiders,
Yep.
the Roosters,
Yep.
and the Tigers.
Oh, that's going to hurt
And
some Bill Williams owners, yeah.
That is going to hurt them, but the only reason I'm saying that for is they have their first bye around 12 and their last bye around 18. They book in the 2 buys. They play 2. They don't play 2 big buys. They only have 5 matches in between them, unlike the Storm 6. But the Storm played 2 big buys during that time.
Yeah, yeah.
They have the toughest teams to keep.
Wow.
Over that Origin period.
And of course that affects Sean Fensom, Trent Merrin.
No, not Merrin.
Merrin's Origin.
Raiders, Roosters, Tigers.
Oh, sorry.
Merrin's Origin anyway. See stuff.
Yeah. Where's St George fit in? Which tier is St George?
St George are 4 because they don't have a bye till round 15.
Okay, right. Okay, so we're talking tier 6. Just to repeat again, and obviously, you know, every comment I've ever made on a post that seemed semi-intelligent right now is completely and utterly being dispelled by my lack of understanding of the buys and the fact that I'm asking you things repeatedly here. But so tier 6, who are our worst teams?
In my opinion, the worst teams are the Raiders, the Roosters, the Tigers. In other words, your big guns, your Fempson, your Sonny Bill Williams, your Benji Marshall, your
James
Aaron Woods.
Maloney. Aaron Woods,
James Maloney. Michael Jennings, but he could
Robbie
be Origin.
Farah.
So.
Yeah, I'd expect Michael Jennings to be Origin.
Has to be.
Yep. Wow.
Farah's already stuffed. If Farah wasn't stuffed because of Origin, he's stuffed because of the buys anyway.
Yeah, so I might be doing a Farah to McCulloch and then trading him back in afterwards just to get some points in during that buy period.
And saying that, McCulloch, if you're going to get him, you want to get him now. He had an 81 last week and he's going to rise in price like nobody's business. And he's already sitting.
Wow. That's a fantastic score. And look, I've always been a big fan of McCulloch. You know, particularly as many of you know, I'm a big points per minute person. I love looking at my points per minute and working out how many minutes a person usually plays so that I can get a decent idea of what their average scoring will be. And McCulloch is always a hard worker. You know, for the time he's on the field, he averages something like about 0.92 points per minute. So, you know, it's always impressive, and I'm always happy to see him do well. But, oof, mate, that hurts. An 80, you know, that's really going to hurt coming into Origin.
He's got to break even a 10 this week, and if he hits a 42, he gets a 21k price range, which makes him about 400k.
Yeah, it makes him 393,000. Having said that, though, Farah's sitting steady at 445 or 450, something like that. What's he? 476, 500. So if you're looking at subbing him in for Farah and then subbing him out for Farah at the other end, you know, depending on those injuries, the money side of things isn't going to worry you too much because you're not like it's not like it's a normal trade whereby you're trying to upgrade a player or you're trying to get cash to bring in a certain player and things like that.
That is true. That's something you got to watch over the buys. You're not always trying to make the cash or make more points in terms of each week. I might trade out Sonny Bill for Alex Glenn might make 50k, but Sonny Bill's still a 55-point scorer. Glenn might be a 45-point scorer, but think about all those extra games that Mr. Glenn will play for you.
Yeah.
Therefore, in the terms of your overall picture, he scores more points. An overall picture, I mean, like from when you trade him in round 12, round 11, whenever, till when you trade him out back to him probably around 18, 19, 20, you will score more points. And that's what you got to look at over the buys, especially playing them.
Yeah, particularly going for overall when you're not going head-to-head. I mean, if you're ignoring head-to-head, you're focusing on overall, then every point that you score in those buy rounds is gold. Because the buy rounds, they make or break you. You know, you either make up a lot of ground on the lead pack or you lose a lot of ground depending on how well you're structured. So it's definitely something worth thinking about. And to be honest with you, I think, mate, Alex Glenn, yeah, you've definitely put him on my radar, and I think I'm going to have to find a way to bring him in. I'll be researching his prices and that sort of thing. But mate, Banksy, you've done well. You've made sense of the buy rounds to somebody who goes glassy-eyed and bumbles like a village idiot whenever the buy round strategies come up, mate. So I can actually read Stats Williams's spreadsheet now and understand what the hell it means.
That's always what I like to do, enlighten people.
Yeah, well done, mate. Well done. Mate, not a bad effort for a Kiwi. I really wasn't expecting something that intellectual from someone across the ditch.
I'm a Christchurch man anyway. I'm not one of those Auckland folks.
Oh, right, yeah. No, they're all those Auckland folk, mate. They keep moving to Brisbane. That's probably why I was surprised. But
I thought they moved to the Gold Coast.
oh,
GC.
Gold Coast, Brisbane, mate. You know, it's not far enough away. You know, it's a 30-minute drive up the highway for them, mate. It's just a short trip, eh, bro?
Yeah, cuz.
Speaking of which, my gorgeous cousin Lauren I think she turned 20 or 21 today or something like that. So not that she'll ever listen to this, but just in case she does, you know, happy birthday, Lauren. I hope you had a fantastic day. And Banksy, mate, I can't wait to have a chat to you in the next section, which we haven't really planned. But I don't know about you. I think we're just about done here on this particular section, mate. What do you reckon?
I think we have done for the week, actually, because I don't think there's anything else to talk about.
Mate, there is, but I'll talk to you about it off air and we'll put something together quickly. But, mate, thank you very much for making sense of the buys. In fact, you know what we should do? I reckon we should have we'll have a team planning meeting over those 3.5169 chicken nuggets. What do you reckon? Oh wait,
yeah,
no, that's Stats Williams who's taking me out.
I'm giving you three. Actually,
you're giving me three. Jesus Christ!
And if you want sauce of that, you gotta buy your own.
Mate, is this how they do it in Christchurch? No wonder the place fell into a giant friggin' hole in the ground.
That's because they built it in a hole in the first place. They built it wrong.
Yeah, well, that wasn't too bright. You see, now, if they'd put the effort into their chicken nuggets, mate, maybe they would have put the effort into not building in a hole.
Yeah, maybe. But just back on Dream Team for the moment. If there's any questions you want to ask me in the comments of the video, of the post on Mentors, wherever. Ask me, tag me. I'll do my best to answer you during the week or the coming weeks. I promise you that much.
Absolutely, guys. Look, and, you know, myself included, if you've got questions that you'd like answered on the show, if you've got, you know, places that Banksy can take me out for dinner if he's going to sicky, licky me, just absolutely anything. Or even feedback.
Licky.
Yeah, oh, mate, look, I don't care what you call it. All I know is I'm getting dinner first. But, like, I mean, we've had some great feedback through private messaging on Facebook and all that sort of stuff. Feel free. We love the feedback. We love the comments. We love the questions. Anything that we can do to cover it for you, we're more than happy include it in the show and make a bit of a go of it. And we're going to go and have some chicken nuggets now. I hope you guys are having a fantastic evening. If we don't publish the next section, which is up for debate right now, we'll see you next week or chat to you next week. Hopefully you have a wonderful Dream Team week. Banksy, thanks again for coming along, mate. And which McDonald's, mate? The one next to your joint or mine?
Probably yours. It's closer.
Yeah, I reckon so. All right, ladies and gents, we're out of here. We'll talk to you soon. Have an awesome week.